Hey guys, what is up? Steven here, about to do a film breakdown on the Chargers offensive line. Before we get started, have to give a shout out to our sponsor, TickPick, who is the official ticketing partner of the Guilty as Charged podcast. If you use the code CHARGED10, that's CHARGED10, CHARGED 10 in all caps, you get $10 off your first order. So if you're on the fence about going to the game on Sunday or on the fence about any game for the Chargers, please use the code CHARGED10 for $10 off your first order at TickPick. Okay. That being said, I want to jump into this offensive line film breakdown. I think just some kind of general thoughts about how they played. First and foremost, man, Rashawn Slater was dominant. He only had one rep against Max Crosby, which happened in the first drive. And Max Crosby got clamped and then went to the other side and stayed there the whole rest of the game. So I'll show that rep. Really fantastic. And then I know Matt Filer kind of struggled in pass protection. We'll go over some of those struggles, the breakdowns of communication. But him and Lindsley and Slater are really getting after it in the run game, as are the Chargers tight ends and Ode Ibushi. I think really the only weak link in terms of run blocking right now is Storm Norton, but he's okay. And the Chargers can get by with okay as long as he's healthy. I know he's expecting the birth of his child today, so shout out to Storm. Congrats on becoming a father. That being said, let's jump right into this film breakdown because I do think that the Chargers offensive line played really, really well. And I'm actually going to give a shout out to start with these tight ends, Donald Parham and Steven Anderson. So the Chargers here, this was on the first drive of the game, that ended in the touchdown. And obviously not a great rep by Matt Filer. You see the guy split that double team between him and Corey Lindsley. But I wanted to talk about Slater, Anderson, and Parham here because this run is going to go off of their side, right? And so you see this get off by Slater. He's in a one-on-one situation. He's going to get that battle every single time and do a fantastic job. And then you look at the tight ends, they're going to execute a double team and climb up to the next level, the third level. And you see Steven Anderson and Donald Parham do a really, really good job there. Corey Lindsley cutting off the backside linebacker, Slater doing his thing, and it frees up Austin Eckler for I think a 12-yard gain on, I believe, second down. So also want to give a shout out to Ode Ibushi, who's going to cut off this one technique pretty effectively here from the right guard spot. You see him be able to kind of turn his hips around until Filer runs into him. That's a really highly executed run blocking play. And so it gives Austin Eckler 8-9 yards until he is even touched. That's perfect, right? Like that's what you're asking for from your offensive line in these situations is just to give your running backs a window of opportunity, and they certainly do that here. And who knows, like if Austin Eckler breaks his tackle, right, you could be looking at a huge play. All right, next one here. I believe this is the Crosby rep from Slater. Yep, it is. So Crosby obviously gets a little late start off of the ball, but to me that doesn't really matter that much because Rashawn Slater, his hands are just like so strong. And one of the things that I keep on coming back to is from his draft evaluation of mine is that he wins in a variety of ways. And we'll see that here, but he can deep set, he can jump set, he can quick set, he can angle set, he can do all of the sets. And then he has elite hand placement. He can strike with two hands, he can strike with one, he can strike with both, he can execute it. I forget what Mitchell Schwartz calls it. I think it's called the Franklin. I think what Mitchell Schwartz calls it, where he knocks the hands down. You can kind of call it a chop block, if you will, with your hands. Anyway, the point is that Rashawn Slater can win in any kind of ways. And you look at these hands, once he gets a hold of you, man, like he's done. So to me, he's really able to, overcome the lack of length that everybody was super worried about because he is so well-rounded technique-wise because he can do it all. So this was the one rep from Crosby against Storm Norton, or against Rashawn Slater, excuse me. And he got clamped, and then he went against Storm Norton for the rest of the game. So going and looking at some other things here, I think Storm Norton had a really good rep here as well. You look at Corey Lindsley and Matt Filer, they're just, holding on a simple double team. Ode Ibushi and Jonathan Hankins does a good job. But, I mean, this is what you want as an offensive lineman, and this is not really something that we saw a whole lot of last year in terms of a clean pocket. But Herbert has it, executes the play to Jared Cook, first down, easy money. So Offensive line got off to a really hot start in this game. That first drive was really, really clean. And I think this is one of the last plays, if I'm not mistaken, of this drive. No, this is the second drive. I'm sorry. So this is the second drive after Austin Eckler had gotten hurt on the first drive. This is the play that Duke Manyweather posted about Rashawn Slater, and so I wanted to focus this in on him here. And so he's going to set and he's going to try that Franklin where he's going to you see him trying to knock the arms down. And it works to an extent, but also it kind of backfires because then it gives this defensive end, a leg up on the leverage. But you look at this freeze frame right here and you're like, oh, Slater's probably lost this battle, right? But then he takes that other leg and he just sinks hip, anchors down and wins. Like winning in that kind of set is unreal core strength, leg strength, balance, all of that stuff. And that's Rashawn Slater. Like his recovery ability is off the charts. Like if this man had arms that were half an inch longer, he would be the perfect left tackle, and he still might be the perfect left tackle. So it's crazy watching him, how well rounded he is, how athletic he is, how he can win in every single way possible, how strong he is. And, I cannot say enough good things about Rashawn Slater. And shout out to all those teams who pass on him because, it's been so much fun to watch him play. All right, next one here. This one, it obviously is the batted pass. So to me, Justin Herbert needs to do a little bit of a better job, kind of reading through his progressions a little bit better because this defensive tackle, he just has his eyes up and he is looking at Herbert the entire way. So, but I wanted to point this play out because I think this play shows some real growth from Storm Norton, who obviously is the right tackle. He's going up against Max Crosby. And Norton definitely has some balance issues, which you've seen time and time again. He tends to overset a little bit. But one thing I'm learning about Storm Norton is that he really has strong hands and he has violent hands. And he's able to win in that way on, a number of reps. Like I think Crosby definitely got him on a couple of spin moves. He turned a corner on him one time with a speed rush. But overall, I thought Norton played okay, right? Like the 5 pressures or 6 pressures, I think, look bad. But to me, it was really only 3 or 4. I think the PFF probably gave him the breakdown, which will the free rush, which we'll get to later. But to me, I thought Norton played okay, and it was, as long as he's playing okay and not wrecking the game, I think we'll take that, right? Because it's important to remember this is essentially his rookie season. He's never been a starter. He's never gotten a ton of reps, and he played in the XFL. So it's important to look at the lack of reps over Norton's course of his career and realize that this basically is his rookie season. So the Chargers essentially have 2 rookie tackles. One was drafted in the first round, like I said, is essentially the perfect left tackle. The other one is, a potential project. So I'm okay with what Storm Norton did on Monday. We'll see how he plays against the Browns, but as long as he's able to do play at that kind of level, I'm cool with it. Everybody's still freaking out about Mitchell Schwartz. He is injured. He is not ready to play right now. He is not healthy enough from his back surgery to come back. So it is what it is. I think Michael Schofield is kind of that next line in defense. We'll see if they actually do move Matt Filer. I'm still kind of against that, just with how he is blocking with Rashawn Slater and how much of an influence he's having over there. So I think Michael Schofield would be that next guy if anything happens to Norton. Okay, that being said, I wanted to talk about this rep, what he was able to do here against Max Crosby. He's going to strike with 2 hands, and that's a good strike. That's a solid strike. I think you would want to have a little closer, want to have him close that space up a little bit more. But then Max Crosby is going to try and come back inside on this move, and Norton's able to really control him with his left hand. So Norton's a little off balance here. And you would think that, like, okay, this is in rep where Crosby would gain that advantage of leverage. And that's not the case. Norton does a really great job of using his left hand to control Max Crosby until he can bring his right hand back and his hips back with him. So to me, this shows that Norton is very strong physically and has really strong hands and is growing with his use of hand placement. So to me, I'm seeing enough growth from Storm Norton right now where I'm okay with where he's at. And, obviously, I wish the Chargers had five great offensive linemen across the board. But as long as Norton is able to not be a complete game wrecker like Sam Tevy was, like Trent Scott was, I think the Chargers will be all right. They'll continue to help him. And Norton is continuing to progress, which is the most important thing. All right, I wanted to talk about this next play, which doesn't really work for the Chargers because it's covered very well. But I wanted to point this out because this shows us the variety with which the tackles are playing right now. Because I think one of the things under the previous regime that really did not work in their favor is that they didn't do a whole lot of variety with their sets with their tackles. So it was almost always like a deep set, which is very difficult to be consistent with because you're leaving so much space between you and the edge rusher. So both tackles here are going to execute a quick or a jump set where they're trying to get their hands on the opposing edge rushers really quickly. You see Storm Norton and Max Crosby, their get off is really well. That's a really nice strike. And then Slater initially loses this rep. Yannick Ngakwe gets his inside leverage, but then Rashawn Slater is able to, bring his hands back and win. And of course, it helps that this other defensive tackle runs right into that lane. But this is an impressive strike from Norton on the right side and an impressive win in recovery from Rashawn Slater. Like typically, you look at Yannick Ngakwe right there and you're like, oh, he's won. Like if that's Joey Bosa, that's a win. If that's Melvin Ingram, that's a win. If that's Max Crosby, that's probably a win. But the way that he recovers is just so good. And and then Storm Norton is holding his own on Max Crosby. Just a really good job by the two tackles. And I love the variety with which these tackles are playing, both with their hand placement and in their sets. So I really wanted to point that out. All right, next one here. I think this is one of the breakdowns. Yeah, it is. So this is Yannick Ngakwe gets a free hit on Justin Herbert, who gets the ball out quickly, gets it to Jared Cook, and it's a positive gain. I think this was second down, but basically what you're looking at from the Raiders right here, you're in empty. So Austin Eckler is going to leak out on a route. He's not going to be blocking. So I know this happened again later, and everybody was like, Eckler should stop that guy. His responsibility is to be the hot read. Like he is executing a route. So when you come to the line of scrimmage right here, and you see six guys on the line of scrimmage, you have Crosby and Yannick Ngakwe in wide nine situations. So really, what you have to do is you have to slide protection one way or the other because of the linebackers that are in this package. And so I think that's Kwiatkowski. He does come on the blitz. I think Corey Littleton drops with Jared Cook, but you have six guys on the line. You have to account for those six guys on the line. So to me, it looks like everybody is sliding left except for Rashawn Slater. It looked like Rashawn Slater felt like the inside rush here from I think that's Cleveland Farrell or Jonathan Hankins. To me, it looks like he felt like that was the more important thing to stop. And so you see everybody is going left. Abuji has Kwiatkowski. Lindsley has the DT. Filer is going towards Hankins or Farrell, whoever that is. And to me, it looks like Slater just kind of decided to stick with the inside rush and protect against that leverage, which is fine. Again, this does not result in a sack like the earlier mishap, which I didn't put in this clip. But, at the end of the day, the Chargers have to communicate this better to their rookie left tackle and to their quarterback. So Herbert's got to get this ball out even quicker to avoid this hit, or you've got to figure out a way to get Slater to move properly to the other way. So this is a pressure for Slater, in my opinion. I know he technically only allowed one in that game, but to me, this is something that I would count for him. One of the few mistakes on the day. I think there was probably two. All right, this is another run blocking play. Really just the Chargers are executing the duo action at a very high level right now. So duo, essentially what that means is you're going to get two double teams at the point of attack. And that's why it's called duo. And so, yeah, and then you have the other duo, you have the other double team with Norton and Anderson over here. So Lindsley and Abuji are going to take this one technique and double team him. And then Filer and Slater are going to double team. I think that's Darius Phylon. Not really sure. And then they're going to climb to the next level. So that's their responsibility, particularly Filer's. He's got to hedge on this DT so Slater has enough time to get to him, and then he's got to get to the second level. And Filer and Slater are doing this at such a high level, particularly Filer is just mauling linebackers in the run game. And so you see immediately great execution by Matt Filer. Filer gives that DT a hell of a punch, allows Slater to get that action, and then actually just, gently lays him on the ground. Filer does a fantastic job of getting to this level. And so essentially what you're looking for out of duo is to get one linebacker with your offensive lineman, and then you're looking for your running back to have a gap and be able to make someone miss. And so, it's 3-4 yards pretty much automatic if you execute it properly, which the Chargers have been doing a good job. And then if your running back is able to make someone miss, then you get more yards. So really good job all around of getting 8 yards, I think, on second down. Particularly by the left side, they're playing at a very high level right now at this point. And Corey Lindsey, Odebuji, they do their job. They root out that nose tackle pretty well. So 8 yards on a run play like this, you take that all day. All right, so this is the other mishap, I believe. Yeah. So again, this is where I think that's Carl Nassib actually affects the play. So Justin Herbert does a good job, but this is on him, right? So you have 6 rushers again at the line of scrimmage. Corey Littleton this time is going to come, and then Austin Eckler again. He's leaking out. He's not staying in to pass protect. He's leaking out for a route. He's obviously who Justin Herbert is going to. So Norton actually does this really well because everyone else is sliding left. They do execute the slide left at a good level this time. And so Norton has to choose. He has to choose between the linebacker that's coming or the edge rusher. So you always take the inside rusher, always. That's the default. So that's kind of why I can kind of understand why Slater did what he did on that early rep, because you always take the inside rusher, you leave the outside rusher for your quarterback. So Justin needs to recognize that this is what is happening earlier, and he's got to get this ball out essentially now. And he waits just a half second too long and sells the ball over Austin Eckler's head. But, in this instance, I think there was no miscommunication. I think this was the plan. They executed it well. Justin's just got to get to the proper read quickly because Eckler is the hot read right there. So ideally, you'd like to snap the ball, feel that edge rusher free rushing, and just go immediately. All right, almost done here. A little short one today, but this is the scrum by Larry Roundtree, and I had to point this out because I loved it so much live and watching it on tape. I was like, yes. So it's another duo action. You're going to have Ode Abuji, Corey Lindsey executing a double team at the point of attack there. And then you're going to have Matt Filer and Rashawn Slater executing a double team on the backside. It does its job immediately. Ode Abuji does a fantastic job getting up to Corey Littleton. And it leaves Larry Roundtree just enough space, just enough to get an isolation, a small isolation with Kwiatkowski, or however you say his name. And Larry Roundtree is just going to spin off this scrum. Steven Anderson's in there. Corey Lindsey's in there. Here comes Abuji, Norton, Slater, Filer. They all get in on the action. I love it. And so this is just something that, as an offensive lineman, you love to see your running backs create this kind of scrum and then just get after it. So it was a fun play to watch for sure. All right, this is the last play. This is the touchdown from Austin Eckler, and this is probably the best executed run play that the Chargers have had all season long. Again, it's a duo action. You see immediately you've got the double team from Filer and Lindsey, Abuji and Norton, and then Parham's got to cut off that defensive end on the other side. So essentially here, you look at this play, Filer is responsible for Corey Littleton, and then Eckler is responsible for Kwiatkowski. He's got to make him miss. He's got to make him, not execute his job properly. So the Chargers right now are doing a fantastic job of getting off the ball. I know Staley said that that's a big point of emphasis for them. The other thing here, though, that I love is actually from Joe Lombardi. So this play design, right? Like, so you bring Jalen Guyton in motion, and that's going to make Corey Littleton go over to the tackle because he's expecting pass in this instance for whatever reason. And so that gives Matt Filer just enough space, and he's gonna just boom, and it's a slight little change, but he's gonna root Corey Littleton out of that hole. And then again, you've got Eckler on Kwiatkowski one-on-one. Kwiatkowski misses, Eckler scores the touchdown. This is just a fantastically executed run blocking play. Great call in the red zone by Joe Lombardi. And you cannot ask for a more textbook look of duo than what you're getting here. Like, you see this alley from Filer and Lindsley that they have created, and you've won. Even if Eckler doesn't score here, if Kwiatkowski makes this tackle, right, that's still 4 or 5 yards in the red zone on first down. This was first down. And Austin Eckler just, fantastic job. I love how everybody look at Donald Parham here, just eyes to the sky. I love it. Everybody got in on the action. What a drive from the offensive line. So that's going to do it for today's film breakdown. Thank you so much for tuning in and supporting the show. As always, like and subscribe, comment, and let me know what you think. If you're on the fence about going to this game tomorrow, please use TickPick and get to this game. It is going to be a fantastic matchup. I cannot wait. I will be there in section 209. Shout out to Matt Henriksen, aka Get Some Sports, for the tickets. Had to give my guy a shout out. Come say hi. I'll be there all day, obviously. But yeah, that's going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.